Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning the Nedarim, page 23, which shows us the source of why a person should or maybe should not say Kol Nidrei on Yom Kippur. Now we know that the starting ceremony that takes place on the very sacred day of Yom Kippur is Kol Nidrei, which is annulling all vows, which means that if a person makes a promise, a neder, at any point throughout the entire year, this is a declaration that it will all be canceled, that what I say will actually not have any meaning. And this is actually based on what's said over here in the Talmud. It advises that perhaps this is a good thing to do. That on Rosh Hashanah, the Talmud says, on the New Year, which is just 10 days before Yom Kippur, and some people actually do some sort of what's called Hataras Nedarim, or annulling vows, the day before Rosh Hashanah, that they should make the following declaration. They should say, any vow that I will make in the future for the entire year, they will all be nullified. So therefore, if you do make a vow, you don't have to worry that you're not going to end up keeping it, because the vow means nothing because you made the stipulation at the beginning of the year. It sounds like a pretty smart idea. And the reason why it sounds like a smart idea is because it will avoid people from potentially falling in this trap of not following their vows. And because of that, Rav Huna, the son of Chinana, actually wanted to teach this publicly, of this recipe to make sure that no one would end up stumbling of having to make a vow which potentially could be valid and also not kept. However, Rabbi said no. It should only be taught in a closed, hidden way. It should not be taught in a public way. And the reason why, as we've mentioned before, is because we do not want people to be lightheaded and careless in making vows. In other words, if people know that they made the stipulation, so throughout the entire course of the year, you can just make a whole bunch of vows, and you're not going to care because you know that you made this declaration before. And it causes a lack of proper respect in the language, in the language that you're using. And therefore, because of that, we don't want people to know about it. Which, of course, leads to the difficulty in which Tosfos, the Ran, all the commentators ask, so then what are we doing on Yom Kippur? How could we, which is certainly public, this is the day that everyone goes to synagogue. Why would we allow this declaration to be made by the Chazan when it seems pretty clear from here that you're not supposed to do it? Because we don't want people to learn from this language of Kol Nidrei that, oh, a declaration was made, so now I can be lax in my language in keeping vows. So Tosfos actually here says a couple of interesting answers. First of all, nowadays we have translations in our machzorim, in our siddur. So this could be not necessarily a great answer, but at least according to those days, people didn't necessarily understand what was being said. So if we're concerned, and it's not a scholar that we're concerned of, or people that are just not careful in their speech, so those people may not really understand the language or exactly what is being said on Kol Nidrei anyway. So therefore, it's not a problem. And also, the reason why it's also not an issue is we're not actually saying you are now permitted, or we're not actually specifically talking to an individual. This is just a general declaration. And therefore, it doesn't have the same impact as an individual making the statement, as opposed to just being said in front of the entire congregation. But certainly, it is noteworthy that Kol Nidrei is actually an interesting question why it's even said, even though it seems a bit controversial. And the reason why I like to tell why Kol Nidrei sets the tone for Yom Kippur is because it does focus on language. The importance of language, of how we speak, what we say, what we don't say. And part of Yom Kippur is our prayers. We spend so many hours praying, and therefore, in order for our language to be more meaningful and our prayers to be more meaningful, we begin with Kol Nidrei.